Hej och välkomna till ett nytt avsnitt av Församling under och tecken. Idag ska jag prata lite om den här fantastiska väckelsen som pågår i Asbury i Kentucky. Det var nämligen så att onsdagen den 8 februari så på den här, Asbury är en högskola, en kristen högskola. Och de hade en morgonsamling där som de brukar ha. Det var bara det att just den här onsdagen så var det några som inte ville lämna lokalen utan de stannade kvar där i det de upplevde var Guds närvaro. Och sen har den här samlingen bara fortsatt och pågått 24 timmar om dygnet och när jag spelar in det här så har det pågått i över 7 dygn. Vilket är helt fantastiskt. Där sjungs lovsång, där delas vittnesbörd om vad Gud gör, om helanden, upprättelse och det är människor som går fram och bekänner synder och de i syndanöd och de överlåter sina liv helt till Kristus.
We just see people flooding in. And God said, revival isn't hype. It's ordinary people who are hungry. It's ordinary people who are hungry. And he said, Gage, I'm going to need you to go to the altar. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the altar. And he's like, go to the altar. And I go to the altar and worship starts. And he's like, this is revival. Look left. And I look left. And there's this young college woman getting prayed over by an older woman. And he says, look right. And then there's this young guy praying over an older guy. And he says, look behind you. And everyone's just raising their hands. And he said, Gage, this is revival. It isn't hype. It's ordinary people crying out for a move of God in our generation. And I'm here to talk to everybody in this room who is hungry. What an honor. What an honor it is to be here.
Och det bara fortsätter och det har spridit sig så människor strömmar in till Wilmore och i tisdags kväll så var det långa köer in och de har fått öppna fler lokaler så att jag tror att just nu så har de 3 lokaler öppna. Det är fullpackat med folk och det är fullpackat med folk utanför lokalerna som inte kommer in. Vad det här ska leda till det kan vi bara gissa och hoppas, önska att det här ska sprida sig över hela världen. Jag har fått kontakt med en av studenterna som valde att stanna kvar. Han heter Zeke Atha. Jag har fått intervjua honom och ni ska få ta del av den intervjun här och nu. Hello, Zeke.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going quite well here. Just have trouble with my English.
Yes.
So, I just want to know because we have heard about this awesome revival going on in Asbury.
Yes.
Yeah. Last Wednesday, what happened? Can you tell us? You were there.
So we have our chapel services every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 every morning. And we kept worshiping God. Usually we have 2 or 3 songs at the beginning of the service, and then someone comes to preach. And then we end with one more song as a whole school. And the preacher was named Zach Meerkreebs, and he preached on Romans chapter 12. and he preached on verses 9 through 21, talking about all the different commands. And the theme of this passage and what we've been talking about this school year has been Christ's love in action for other people. Like, how do Christians love their neighbor well? And he said, this is God's standard. I'm just going to read from the passage to help us understand what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Let me get my Bible real quick.
Yeah.
And Zach is a very good speaker, but there's nothing super emotional about his speaking. He speaks from God's word. So let's see, Romans chapter 12. Let love be genuine. Hate what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal, fervent in spirit, and serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope, be patient in trials, be constant in prayer. And in this passage, there are so many commands. And Zach, the preacher, said, how can we possibly obey all these commands? Every one of us has broken those commands. We need to ask God to help us to love one another in action and help show Christ's love. So he said, if you feel like you need to ask God to help you in this, and you need to say you're sorry or repent, we're going to open up the altar and you can continue to pray. And so it was one of the shortest sermons we've heard in a while, which was good. And people rushed out to go to class or go to lunch, but I and 15 or 20 other students stayed and prayed and continued in the worship music. And I stayed there for about an hour, so it was about 12 at noon when I left for my class. And I had my class for an hour and came back at 1 p.m. And when I got out of class, I heard the music still going.
Oh, okay.
I was like, sometimes we've extended chapels for about 20 minutes, but no longer than that. So chapel had been going on for 2 hours after this. And I went back upstairs because my class was downstairs below the chapel. I went back upstairs and they were still singing, and I couldn't believe it. So I continued to worship. I continued to pray with some friends. There were more people that had gathered, and I remember one of my friends said, "We have to go tell people. We have to go tell our students." So we went running to different buildings and opened up the doors of classrooms, and the professors turned their heads and looked at us. And we just said to the whole class, "Hey, we're sorry to interrupt your class, but revival is happening." And even as I said that, I couldn't even believe what I was saying, because this is something that me and many others have been praying for. And this is my third year at Asbury. And ever since my freshman year, I've been praying that God would bring revival. And so classes started to get canceled. More and more people came to the auditorium. And one of the very special moments that happened was a testimony was given by a student, how he was very depressed. He felt like he had no purpose in life. and he told us, he said, I think God woke me up this morning in order to be at this service, because I had forgotten how good he is in my life, how faithful he has been in my life. And he testified to that, and many other people started telling their stories about how God had worked in their life. And we continued to worship all throughout the night. And I got up the next morning and I checked my phone, and many people had texted me saying it's still going. And so I went, I didn't go
Okay,
to,
what was you thinking when you were reading that it was still going on?
yeah,
What's the
I
first
could,
thing popping up in your mind?
hmm one of the first thoughts was, okay, which crazy person is still going? Like, who is leading this service? Because it's just something that doesn't happen. Um, I thought, yeah, it was mostly like, okay, who stayed all night and kept worshiping? And I go back into the chapel, and people had brought their mattresses from their rooms to sleep in the auditorium. And I was just amazed. It was wild.
So who was in charge for this?
We had a guest band to lead worship, and a lot of them were people from different nationalities.
Yeah,
A lot of them were African American, and I think they had a special sense of God's presence.
yeah,
Not that the other nationality does, but I think they were a lot more worshipful in their music.
yeah,
And so they were the ones that kept us going to the very beginning. But by the next morning, I didn't even recognize the people that were leading it, because people had come in. We have another school, we have the seminary across the street. And so I think some older seminary students were leading the worship.
yeah,
And it was the first 2 or 3 days, it was just students. And Zach, the preacher who had preached Wednesday, was also organizing some of it.
yeah.
But
I I
yeah,
I, I saw some testimony on YouTube. There, a girl was speaking and saying that it was like Jesus himself had come and
yes,
took control. Uh,
yeah, yes. Ev- One of the phrases that has been said over and over again is radical humility.
yeah,
So we see God elevated, and we lower ourselves.
yeah,
We elevate God's name, we worship his name. Um, and you could just sense in the room a special presence of the Lord was there through his spirit.
yeah,
When people would walk in, um, you didn't want to leave after knowing that the spirit was there. I stayed 10 hours that first day,
yeah,
because there was so much love, and there was so much peace, and nobody, everyone who went on stage said Jesus is in charge, Jesus is leading.
yeah,
And there was so much peace. No one was yelling, no one was drawing attention to themselves. It was just worshiping God.
yeah. Awesome.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so but what is happening? What is going on? Is it just worshiping all the time, or uh,
Hmm.
are people going to the altar? What do they say? What do they do? Are there testimonies? I want to hear. I want to
Yeah.
hear what is
Yeah.
going on.
um so the first day, I mentioned there was worship for about 2 hours, and then testimonies started happening.
Yeah.
Um, so the basic rhythm that was going on was 30 minutes of worship, followed by a scripture reading where anyone could have the microphone and could read from a passage of scripture. And then we'd continue to worship. And then someone else would say, I feel like the Spirit is asking us to pray for repentance, that more people would repent. And sometimes we would pray over students that hadn't come, that they would come and see. And when more and more guests came in, we would pray over, there were babies we would pray for. There were elderly people that would pray for us, and then we would pray for them. So all the time there's music going, there's people going to the altar and praying for themselves, or people huddling together in the aisles praying over one another. I got prayed over because I'm going to Papua New Guinea this summer as a missionary.
Yeah. Nice.
So they said, if anyone is called to be a missionary, raise your hand. And so I raised my hand as I was sitting down, and suddenly many people who I had never met before started praying over me all at the same time. And the peace that I felt was incredible. And yeah, one of the first prayer things that was given was, if you have a broken relationship with someone, if you have hurt between a relationship, go and talk to that person. So I was praying for that, and like, because I've had a broken relationship, like a couple broken friendships. And as I was praying for that, two of my friends came up to me who were sitting farther away and said, you need to do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, okay. I think that the Lord is speaking to them, speaking to me through them. So I went, and God brought healing to a broken relationship, and it's incredible. So now there's people praying over each other. People have been healed. There's a cross country runner at our school who had a bad injury, and he's been going to the doctor. And he said he was prayed over that second day. And the third day, when he went to the doctor, he said he could run with no pain at all.
Amazing.
Yes. Yes.
God
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Okay. So this meeting is still continuing?
Yes. Yes. There's people right now that are in the auditorium. I can walk out of my dorm room
Yeah.
and be inside in a minute, because they've made room for students to come in. So the first 3 days up until Saturday, it was mostly students with a couple of guests. Now it's 90% guests and 10% students, because so many people have come to
Yeah.
Kentucky. People from California and New York and Florida, all over the country, have come to Wilmore, and it's crazy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think? How long will it last? Or
Yeah. It's very hard to tell, because nobody had planned it at all starting Wednesday.
yeah.
And I think one of the things that we've been telling people, that I've told friends or people that will message me on Facebook, I've been saying, come and be filled with the Holy Spirit, because he's here in a special way, I believe. but once you're filled, once you receive the gift that this space is, go out. Don't just soak it all in. We have to receive and worship God and then go out and tell more people. Because if people are just coming, we've been saying, don't worship the auditorium.
Oh.
Don't worship the time of revival. Don't worship the feelings you might experience, but worship the Lord who is here and is everywhere.
Yeah.
The same God that has brought revival has not changed. In Hebrews, it says Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he is faithful and has revealed himself in this special way in order to wake us up. Because so often we do our jobs, we go to school, and we'll go to church on Sundays, but just forget about how awesome God is, how holy he is, how holy his word is. And God has opened up my spiritual eyes to see how much bigger he is. So it's still going, and I hope people come, but I hope they also realize that the Spirit of God is everywhere and is available to all.
Yeah. And do you have some advice for our listeners, or how is it possible for us to get this spirit and revival in
Mm-hmm.
our churches and communities?
Yes, I believe so. In Acts 2, the book of Acts, chapter 2, it talks about how the Holy Spirit came on the disciples for the first time. And it's ironic that the pastor who was preaching, named Zach, on Wednesday grew up Jewish. And so he had always heard that, okay, God is only for Jews. God is only for Jewish people. But God is for all people because of what happened in Acts chapter 2. It's for every tribe, every tongue, every person in America, every person in North America, every person in Europe, in Sweden, all across the world. It's for everyone. And scripture says, ask and you shall receive, seek and you will find, and knock and the door will be open to you. So if you ask God to reveal himself, he has already told us who he is through his word. So study his word, find out what he's like, find out what he thinks is good, and pray that the Lord would bring the spirit of revival to Sweden. Because like I just said, it's not the space that we worship. It's not the revival that we worship. It is knowing who God is through his word that we get to experience who he is. So know who God is through his word. Secondly, be praying that the Spirit would be moving in your midst and that he would bring revival to Sweden. And 3, you need to humble yourselves, because Jesus in John chapter 14 says, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. And we are sinful. And because we choose to go against what God's word is, sometimes we don't know what God's word is because we don't read it. Or sometimes we know God's word and we choose to disobey. We have sin. in our hearts. And in Romans 3:23, the Bible says the wages of sin is death. Because God is a holy God, God is a pure God, and we're sinful, he cannot be where there is sin. And so Jesus has come that he lived a perfect life. He lived up to God's law. He lived up to God's standard. And out of love, he lived a perfect life. And as the Bible says, the wages of sin is death. In order to experience God's holiness, there has to be a price to be paid. And we deserve death because we have chosen against God's law. But Jesus lived the perfect life and died in our place because he was a perfect sacrifice. He died in our place to forgive us from those sins so we could be reunited with God. But it didn't stop there, because Jesus not only died for our sins, but he was buried and was in the tomb for 3 days. And then the Spirit of God raised him from the dead. And this Spirit is the same that has brought this revival. The Bible tells us that the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is in Christians today. And so if you are skeptical about what God has done, read his word and know who he is. Pray that he would speak to you through the same Spirit. And then when you realize that your life doesn't line up with what the word of God teaches, after Acts chapter 2, when people experience the Spirit, they asked the apostle Peter, they said to Peter, "What should we do?" And Peter said, "Repent and believe that Jesus has lived the perfect life, that he died for your sins, and that he's risen again, and you will be saved." If you confess that Jesus is Lord, the Spirit is already within you, and you are the temple of God. You don't have to go anywhere to worship, but the Spirit of God that raised Jesus from the dead is in you.
Okay, so this is this is amazing, and I just wonder if before we say goodbye, can you pray for us? Can you pray for Sweden?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's pray.
Yeah.
Dear Jesus, thank you for who you are. Thank you that you are a holy God, that you are a loving God. Thank you that you have come to us, that you lived the perfect life, that you died in our place, and that you were resurrected from the dead in order to know us personally, Jesus. We thank you for who you are. We thank you that the Bible tells us who you are and how we can become a part of your family, God. Thank you that you are the way, that you are the truth, and you are the life. God, we can't earn our way to you. We can't get our way to you just by going to church or just by doing good things. But God, you have saved us from our sin, and you have not only saved us from our sin that leads to death, but you have saved us for holiness, God, because you are a holy God. And so I just pray over anyone who sees this video that they would know you as Lord, and they would know that you love them. And God, I pray that you bring revival to Sweden, God. Your heart has a burden for people in Sweden. You care about them, and you died for them, Jesus. And you offer forgiveness in your name. So I just ask that the Spirit moves in a special way over their land, and that they would know that you are God, that they would repent, that they would be born again. And God, help the right people to preach your word, to make your name known among Sweden, God. Would you bring a fresh outpouring of your spirit? Would people know that you are God and that you love them? And I pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. So thank you for taking your time and joining me in this interview. I really
Yes.
appreciate that. So,
Yeah. You're welcome.
yeah, I just want to say God bless you in your you are studying to a pastor.
Yes. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. So God bless you in your continuous work and
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Ja, vad ska man säga? Vilken härlig bön. Tänk om, tänk om vi kunde ta till oss det här och bli inspirerade och få mer eld i våran bön när vi ber för väckelse för vårt land och för i våra församlingar. Tänk om vi kunde ta mer av vår tid att överlåta oss helt till Jesus. Jag tror att det gör skillnad. Det gör skillnaden som vi ser här i Kentucky, att vi kan få se det i Sverige. Och det som jag tycker är fascinerande är att det här går väldigt lugnt till och det är som han sa, det är liksom ingen som tar över, det är ingen som står i centrum, utan det är som jag har hört i andra vittnesmål härifrån från Wilmore, att det är som att Jesus har tagit över kommandot och han styr liksom allt och det är ordning. Och det är trygghet och det är en atmosfär som man inte vill lämna helt enkelt. Det är fantastiskt. Jag lyssnade också på jag tror han är en pastor som också var där i helgen och besökte de här samlingarna. Och han summerade med att säga att det som slog honom, det var att ja, men det här är ingen skillnad ifrån vad vi har i vår församling. Det här ser ut ungefär som ett ungdomsmöte som vi har med lovsång och ja, undervisning. Men och det är ju ganska glädjande besked. Han menar då liksom att det är samma ande som är verksam, det är samma Jesus, det är inget konstigt här utan så han liksom ställde frågan då, vad är det som är skillnaden här då? Och då sa han det att den stora skillnaden är att här går ungdomar fram och de ger hela sitt förflutna, de ger hela sin framtid. Det lägger de på ett offeraltare och offrar för Jesus. För att leva sina liv för Jesus i total överlåtelse, i total kärlek, som de har pratat om under den här tiden de har hållit på, att det är en radikal ödmjukhet. Och ja, kanske är det som är receptet även här. Vem vet, vi får hoppas, vi får tro och vi får be för att vi ska få se det här i vårt land. Med det så vill jag bara tacka så mycket för att du har tittat på det här avsnittet. Så säger jag på återseende.